the 5.4. This one's out of a 98 Expedition that we're putting in a 99 E350 box fan. We went ahead and pulled out all the rods and pistons, and just make sure you mark them. We did this one with a Dremel. That was 1, 5, 2. Just make sure you mark them so they go back together exactly the same, so you have an idea. They have to go back in the same holes. These are fracture designs on the rods. As you can see, that's pretty much looks like it's been broken, but it's a fracture design rod. So put everything back together that way. We're just pulling this one down. They come with aluminum bearings, but I decided to go ahead and do the tri-metals. So we're going to do Cleveite 77 tri-metals on this. Everything else looks pretty good on it. We've got it tore down. We're getting ready to pull out the mains. The front oil pump is attached on these right here. On these right here, this is the year before the phasers, so we don't have cam phasers on this one, but we do have the dual time and chain setup. I went ahead and ordered brand new time and chain setup. It comes with the bottom sprockets and the actual adjusters, so we're going to replace that. Also, it came with brand new time and chain guides. Just this year so far into a van and stuff, we decided to go ahead and do it that way. The cylinders look great, hardly any wear on them. Bearings were in excellent condition for the most part, so we went back with standards. I mean, there was just no play up in the cylinders when I ran my finger in there. So we're just going to re-hone it. As a matter of fact, you can actually see the factory hone marks. So that's why I decided to go ahead and go back with standard on it. I cleaned everything else out. Charlie, let's rotate this motor around. Alright. The other thing too you got to check out on these motors is your water jacket. Now on this one, since I'm filming this, Ford didn't paint the top of this motor, so really we had a little bit of cleanup to do. A little bit of chipped metal from flaking, or flaked metal. So I pulled this down to check it out. I'm going to replace the brand new O-rings in here, since you're so deep into the motor. The other thing too, you want to check your tube and make sure that you don't have any bad spots in here. Like I said, it sits in there just like this, and you just want to go ahead and make sure everything is in good condition. That way, if you got to replace it while you're in here, because this is deep in the motor and hard to get to. You know, it's underneath the intake. There's a gigantic plenum that goes on top of this right here. So, and this sits just like that. The plenum's literally right there. So, this is the time to check all this, replace all your O-rings, clean everything up. So, we're going to finish cleaning this up and getting it ready to go back together and get honed. Alright, when you go to take the crankshaft mains out, you literally have to pull these pins, which are the bolts on the side. So once you unbolt them, 7/16, 11 millimeter, unbolt that, then you can pry your pins up right here. See, that goes through your main right there, helps hold it all together. So once those are out, we can go ahead and get this together. So I'm going to finish pulling all these out, and then we'll go ahead and drop the crankshaft right out of this block, so we can get the honing done, get the rest of the cleanup done, and start on the reassembly process. So just make sure you unbolt every single one of those out, so that way you can get it all out without breaking anything. Don't pry anything until you take this out, otherwise you will break stuff. Alright, we got the crankshaft out, as you see. Now take special note, your back thrust washers have to be in very specific order. So I just want to point this out. This one right here faces this direction right here, and the grooves are out. The other side is flat. So then you come back around on this side, it's the opposite, points out that way. Again, the grooves are out, so that way it has to be that exact way. This motor actually looks really good on the bearings. As you can see, there's no major wear, and again, these are aluminum bearings, so I'm changing out the aluminum bearings for tri-metals. So we're going to finish cleaning up on this, throw some brake cleaner in there, hone the cylinders, put the clean the crankshaft up a little bit more, put some assembly lube on there, bearings, and I'll show you the process of reassembly. Alright, cleaned it out, sprayed some brake cleaner in there, got the mains ready to go. I got the Cleveite 77s here. Now I got two different lubes here. One's the Cleveite assembly lube, and then here's the Permatex Ultra Slick. I use Ultra Slick sometimes and Cleveite, so it just depends. I'm gonna look at these, and we're gonna go ahead and put these in. Now, your main bearings, your front main bearing is different than the other ones. It's got a totally different setup. As you can see, the jacket's a little bit different. You can see with the other ones. So I'm going to show you the difference in there. You got to make sure that you have them exactly the same. And don't forget, we got to do the rears. They have a very specific way that's got to be done too. So let me get the bearings in there, then we'll set the crank back in. Alright, as you see, I got the bearings on with their red snot or assembly lube. Now, as I was saying, the front bearing is different. It's even got a different spot on the block where it attaches. It's off kilter just a little bit to the right, where the other ones are pretty much dead center. So that way, if you're not really paying attention, you'll notice something doesn't line up right. So I've already got the thrust washers in. They've already got some lube on there. So next is we're going to do crankshaft, and we got to do the back main seal. Alright, as you can see, the crankshaft is in. I've already done all the bearings. I've done the thrust washers in the back. Turns very easily, nice and smooth. Got my red snot or assembly lube on each one of the main bearings. Cylinder's already been honed. So the next step is to, of course, go ahead and get all the pistons cleaned up, new rings put on there, and get everything, tops of the piston all cleaned so it looks ready to go. But that's going to be next, putting the pistons in the block. Put a little bit of my engine lube in there so that way it's lubricated on the first startup. Now, just so I'll show you how I do this. Alright, I stage my rings out a little bit. It's hard to see, but the one is over here, so this top one right here will actually be over a little bit more. Towards there, it'd be something like that, so it's staggered a little bit. This is the new Teflon coating. That's why I replaced the pistons, because the other one had already wore through. Such a short throw on the skirt, it creates a little side-to-side action, so I wanted to make sure my Teflon was good. The other thing too is I want to point out is, see the little end right there? Alright, on these pistons and the other ones too, and the other side is, let me get the other one out, and you'll see the end on that side as well. Now, a lot of times you'll get piston rings and they're marked, and they really need to be put in the exact way they're made. The other thing is, as you see the arrow is facing the front of the motor, and it also faced where I had numbered my rods. So this one is number 1, and this one will be going in on this side. I'm going to go ahead and there's my ring compressor right there, and I'll tap it into place. But I just want to show you that how the rings have got to be done, so you can make sure you get yours right. Also, how important it is to see where the arrow is, which got a glare here. There it is. So, like I said, on the Ford 330, passenger side's 1, 2, 3, 4. Driver side is 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, like I said, I've already cross-honed the cylinders. Everything's ready to go. So I'm going to go ahead and put this first piston in. I also got to go ahead and put the bearings in and put some grease on there, or the assembly lube on there. So I'll do that now. I use Malley Cleveite tri-metals. These motors came from Ford with the aluminum bearings, and you know, aluminum bearings will technically take the abuse first before to do it to the crank, But you know, if you've already got something going that bad anyways, I just feel like the aluminum's going to be the first thing to give out, so I'd rather go with the tri-metals. Spend a little bit more money on it, but I'll be happier, I think, and so will you in the end. So let me get this put together, and I'm going to put the first two in. I'm going to do number 1 and number 5 first, and then I'll show you guys. Alright, as you can see, we're finishing up the block. Next step is going to be the timing and the heads being reassembled. So that'll be part 2. Part 1 was going to be the crank and block. So just a little small note, make sure all your arrows are pointing in the right direction. I know it might sound like repetitive, but you get one in backwards is not good. So make sure all your rods were put in. Just double check. It takes no time at all to double check and stuff like that. So as you can see, all my arrows are pointing in the right direction. So then go from there. Torque specs. Let's do some torque specs. Alrighty. For your first one, your rod bolts are going to be 27 to 32 pounds. That's for your first step. For your second step of that, you're going to rotate 85 to 90 degrees. Well, it says 95 degrees. In other words, a quarter turn. So after that, then you're going to have to connect your there's bolts on the side. Your they call them what do they call them, bad boys? Actually, it's just side bolts is what it is. The side bolts is 89 inch-pounds, and then for the second and final stage, 14 to 17 pounds. Then you go from your rods. Your first step is just 29 to 33 pounds, and right again, this time is 90 to 120 degrees. So look at where your bolt is. Go from there, turn it a quarter turn, little quarter turn past, and you're good. That's your 5/4 block built, and what we're going to do is come back to you with part 2, which will be the timing. Timing on these are double chains. Got the timing going to be on there. We're going to do the oil pump, both timing chains, so the heads will go on. This will be all done at the same time. So that's going to be part 2. Cody, aka Diesel, coming to you live with a 330 block, the 5/4s. Very popular motors.